Well, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi is still here with us, and we're considering a plethora of issues this morning. You wanted to quickly respond to the aviation guest in Lagos before we eventually move into the Southern Kaduna matter.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, let me say that perhaps the last speaker is a little bit ignorant of the workings of the National Assembly. The fact that we are having a public hearing by bringing in the actors to explain to the National Assembly, the implication is that they are explaining to Nigerians, because we believe as representative of the people, when there are concerns, if I step into the chamber, I'm bringing in the concerns of those I represent, and collectively we bring in the concerns of Nigerians. And the essence is to discuss all these issues so that we can have a unified position that all of us will know what role we're supposed to play at the end of the day. However, let me also say that the last speaker seems to be putting so much blame in the National Assembly. And I want to see from his own professional angle that he has been a gladiator in this sector. What role has he played in bringing this sector to this stage? If the standard in this sector has been in place, I think the maintenance will be what we'll be talking about, not lack of availability as he has alluded in his own speech. So I think we need to look at all of these issues. Yes, the National Assembly is always a weeping child. People tend to blame us for everything, yes, because we are representing the people. And so this is an opportunity for us to all look at these issues and try to put them in context so that we can agree on a common ground and a common solution. The problem did not start with this government, but this government is being sincere, and that is why these issues are being discussed at this particular level. Having said this, I want to submit that at the end of the day, our conclusion is one that must be for the benefit of this country. And I think that is where the National Assembly will stand at always. Now, with respect to the issue of records, we have records, and that is why in the discussions, most of the National Assembly members, for example, Senator Gemadi, he's a civil engineer, and he's a professional. He has been there, and he has made comments on the basis of what he believes as a professional and as a ranking senator. So we are not acting, ignorantly. We are also having people who are well informed. The bulk of the people who spoke are people who know the aviation sector. So I think, the conversation continues when we finalize by next week.
It's good to have in sight the common goal. The common goal is, I think, at all times, the welfare of the people and the progress of the country. Absolutely. And if we, disagree on the ways to get there, it's just to show you that there will be plethora of issues will be thrown up on this particular matter as well. Absolutely. And there will be those who will be for the closure and those who will be against the closure. The question will be, what will be the best decision? But we do hope that, there will be enough room for consultation and debate before we, that matter eventually proceeds. And I'm sure that there will still be some more briefing on it. Sure. But let's quickly look at the matter in Southern Kaduna, which, we've just seen that report that the Chief of Defense Staff has visited some of the communities there to see what is going on and appeal to the royal fathers there to help, talk to the people so that their people can accept tolerance. I know that before you went on break, the Senate did say that they were going to have a public hearing on the matter in Southern Kaduna. Is that still the situation?
Yes, thank you very much. I think upon resumption, the senator representing that zone, Senator Danjuma, actually moved a motion, and the motion was well received. It was debated, and at the end of the discussion, the Senate made some resolutions. And first and foremost, we condemn in totality the killings in Southern Kaduna and indeed any part of this country. And having said that, we have actually set up an ad hoc committee. And the ad hoc committee is specifically to look at the remote and immediate causes of all of these killings, so that after their work, we'll be able to come up with some very cogent, practical and feasible resolutions and recommendations that will pass on to federal government. And I think it's a good thing that the Nigerian Army, in continuation of bringing peace to our country, have taken the step to actually send some, military personnel into that area so that at least free nerves can be calmed.
How soon is this hearing going to happen?
Well, the committee has just been set up, and I'm not having any information now as to how much, but I want to assure you that when we set up ad hoc committees, the most they will be given is 1 month for them to try to do their job, and especially issues of this nature that are very critical and important that affect lives, I think is one that we want them to act with dispatch. And I want to assure you that the Senate President will surely give them all necessary support so that they can actually, you remember before we resumed, he was saying that definitely we are going to, carry out an investigation into that. And definitely, to confirm that, yes, he's going to do that. That is why the motion by Senator Danjuma was brought forward so that it can be attended to.
Let's quickly look at this matter. Only recently, the Senate announced the Senate, we should say now, announced a change in one of its leaders. The leader of the Senate, Senator Ali Ndume, was removed, and another leader elected, Senator Lawan, is now the new leader of the Senate. I think that's the term that is used. What informed the removal of Senator Ali Ndume? Because he's been speaking, and I think he said that there was no charge raised against him, and he doesn't quite understand why it is that he was removed.
Well, you see, when it comes to the issue of leadership in the National Assembly, not the presiding officers, because there are two different things. The presiding officers, the president of the Senate and the deputy president of the Senate, are the ones that we elect among ourselves. But for the presiding officers, when these posts are zoned, it is the responsibility of the caucus of the respective zones to come up with who they want. And I think with respect to the party, now the APC caucus took this decision, submitted it to the Senate President for announcement, and the Senate President announced. And I will say, as it is, I'm not the spokesman of the APC caucus. I'm the spokesman of the Senate. All I can confirm to you is that, yes,
but you are a member of the APC caucus.
Of course. As it is now, I'm a senator, but I'm the spokesman of the Senate. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Senate because I've been given that mandate to speak for the Senate. So when I'm not given a mandate to speak on a subject matter, I will not want to speak on it. I'm not the APC.
Does it have anything to do with his speaking on the removal, or is it the rejection of the Senate of Mr. Magu as EFCC chair?
Well, again,
because I recall, just before we went to break, I know you're trying to be diplomatic, but I recall that, you had come on Sunrise Daily and you had spoken very clearly on that matter. I think before then you also had a press conference on what the agreement that they reached after the closed door session. And then shortly after, we heard from Senator Ali Ndume, who said that, the Senate did not quite reject him. We only told the president to go and tidy things up. We will consider it again. And he said, I stand by what it was that I said, because there was no plenary, there was no confirmation hearing whereby we rejected him outright. But shortly after, you came out and said that, at the pains of, repeating yourself, you have to state clearly that you have the mandate of the Senate to speak for them. And this was what the senators, this was the decision that they reached. Does it have anything to do with that?
Well, for me, I cannot say perhaps if that has something to do with it. But definitely, like you said, all the points you have mentioned is exactly what happened, because we took a decision, and as it is, the Senate leader is the Senate leader. But the spokesman of the Senate remains the spokesman of the Senate. And when I'm given a mandate to speak, like I've always maintained, even when I come on these programs, if you ask me on things that the Senate is yet to decide on, you remember I will tell you what we have to wait on the Senate comes to a decision on that, because I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for the Senate as an institution. And I think the key issue here is that in the process of institutional development, rules and responsibilities are assigned. And if everybody plays his role as it should be, then collectively we'll be able to get to our goals. So if the caucus of the APC felt, well, it's time to change a leader, it's their prerogative to do so. And I think in this instance, they have done so, and it was done following due process.
Can you just confirm again that the Senate has rejected Mr. Magu as EFCC chair?
What I said that day is that based on security report, the Senate cannot proceed to confirm Magu. Accordingly, we've rejected that nomination and have returned it back to Mr. President for further action. Those were my words.
Well, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning.
My pleasure as always.